story time. I'm sorry I've not been around for a couple of weeks, but I'm back this week and I've got a story just for you. Are you ready? Every girl dreams of being a princess, right? The beautiful dresses, the sparkly jewels and the big white horse. That's what every little girl wants, isn't it? Nope. Well, certainly not for the girl in this story. Lots of other girls she knew wanted things like that, but not her. Yet somehow, that's what happened to her, and she didn't have a choice. Her name was Esther, and she lived in a place and time where the king was the most important person, and everyone, men, women, and children, were expected to do as he told them. No discussion, no argument, and refusing to do as you were told could result in some terrible consequences. That's how Esther entered this story. Because the king's first queen didn't do as she was told, and now he was looking for a new queen. The king ordered every young, unmarried woman to be brought to the palace, and he'd choose the best and most beautiful one to be his queen. Hundreds of young women were brought to the palace, and the king chose Esther. Suddenly, all her dreams for the future were gone. Her freedom was gone, and she had to leave her family behind. Not exactly the princess fairy tale that some may have imagined. But Esther was obedient. She became the queen and began to live out her days in the palace. Her life had been turned upside down, all for the whim of the king, and she had no idea what would come of her life. Little did Esther know that in becoming the queen, she would also become a hero, change the way things were, and save many lives. One of the king's advisors was a man named Haman, and Haman didn't like the Jews. In fact, he didn't just not like them, he hated them, so much so that he wanted to get rid of every single one. The thing that no one knew was that Esther was a Jew. She loved God, and her uncle Mordecai had taught her about God and his faithfulness to their people over the years. Esther's uncle overheard the plan being hatched by Haman, and he was shocked, disturbed, sad, and he knew he had to do something. How could he plead with the king for help when you can't see the king without an invitation? Esther! That's it! Mordecai would get a message to Esther. So he did, and he told Esther about Haman's plan and asked her to do something to help. Now, even though Esther was queen, she wasn't allowed to just enter the king's presence. Especially she didn't have an invitation. If she did, it could result in her being banished or killed. But Esther knew she had to do something. This was the reason she was queen, to save her people. Prayer sent to heaven, a big breath in, and she threw the doors open. Silence fell over the room. People looked at her in shock. Was she crazy? Gracefully and gently, Esther approached the king. My king, I am sorry to come to you without being invited, but I need to talk to you. It is of utmost importance. The king agreed to listen, but instead of doing it there and then, she invited the king and Haman to have a meal with her. They agreed. Esther laid out a feast for the two men. They ate together and spoke together, and as the night ended, Esther asked them to come back the next night. Then she would speak to the king about her important matter. The next night, the men arrived. Food was eaten, wine was drank, and attention turned to Esther and her important issue. Deep breath, everyone. Haman is trying to kill me. Haman was shocked. The king was shocked. But Esther proceeded to explain. She told the king about Haman's plan to kill the Jews, and that in doing so, he would have to have her killed too, because they were her people. The king was outraged, and Haman knew he was in trouble. Esther ended up in a place she never expected, something she hadn't planned for, yet her obedience and faithfulness to God in an unexpected situation meant that God could use her, and she saved all of her people. It may not have been the story she would have chosen for herself, but God used it and caused Esther to be our hero. The end. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next week. Bye.